So apparently this man is not only extremely intelligent and caring, but strong enough to kill people with a sword. He is like the most eligible bachelor of this series, I'm just saying.
I think that's the reason we love these Romantasy books so much too, right? Because they are so applicable. We love the stories, we love the romance, but it's little nuggets of wisdom like these that we get to take away.
I think that's one reason we wanted to start this podcast.
I think you're ready for the Septimus book.
I can't tell you how ready I am for that book. If you had told me when I first read Serpent in the Wings of Night that I was gonna kind of be a Septimus girl, I would have told you were crazy. Hi, and welcome to Romantasy Remedy. I'm Whitney.
And I'm Kenzie. We're sisters-in-law and book besties who thrive on daily doses of magic and romance from our favorite fantasy stories.
So, if your emotional support animal is a dragon and your therapist has shadow powers, you're in the right place. Thanks for being here and for liking, rating, and following our show. Before we get started, this is our official content warning. Simply put, Romantasy Remedy is a podcast for grown-ups. The topics and language will reflect that. Please listen at your comfort level.
And one more thing before we dive into the Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent, our spoiler warning. For most of the episode, there will only be spoilers for chapters 15 to 20, but at the end of today's episode, we will have our spoiler central segment where we make connections to events later in the book and the entire Crowns of Nyaxia series. Don't worry, we'll give another big warning before spoiler central begins.
Thanks, Kenz. One of our goals at Romantasy Remedy is to highlight how books in this genre inspire readers. When we see characters facing fears, overcoming challenges, and growing into their potential, it helps us to do the same. So each week, we'll choose a quote from the chapters we read to be an affirmation, a phrase to empower and motivate us. This week's affirmation says, "You do not have to do any of this alone." We love this because we all have times when we need the reminder that we don't have to shoulder all the hard things in life by ourselves. All it takes is support from a loved one to give us the strength to overcome. We base this affirmation on words spoken by Vale. Keep listening to get all the details surrounding this amazing quote later in the episode. And don't forget, you can find a printable version of the affirmation in the show notes in case you want to stick it on your mirror or your fridge or wherever. And with that, Kenzie is going to recap what happened in this week's section of chapters. Woohoo!
Let's do it. Lilith and Vale are now in their pen pal era. Letters flying daily, hearts low-key softening. But while she's falling for her broody vampire, Mina's health is tanking fast. Enter Tomasin, a holier-than-thou acolyte of Vitaris, hanging around like the human embodiment of a red flag. For real. Then, plot twist, Vale sends 4 letters in one day, and inside is the missing piece Lilith needed. She cracks the code, makes the medicine, and even saves test rats. Science slay. But of course, Tomasin rallies a whole mob to go after Vale, blaming him for the plague. Lilith races to the mansion, finds blood everywhere, and Vale nearly dead in the garden. She tries reasoning with Tomasin. He answers with the sword. Wrong move. She axes him, and Vale rips out his heart, and Farrow mops up the rest. Lilith stays, burns the body, and tends to Vale's wounds. He admits he's leaving for Obetrays, but is in love with her. She thinks her illness makes her unworthy. He says, "I want whatever you'll give me." And yeah, things get spicy. Vale is basically running the encounter like an experiment in pleasure, and it works. But the morning after, Vitaris notices his acolyte's dead. Godly drama unlocked. Vale asks Lilith to leave with him, but she can't abandon Mina or let a child in Nyaxia stay in Adkova. It's heartbreaking because he understands her in ways no one else ever has. Lilith runs home only to find Mina standing outside in the exact spot their father cursed the town. Above them, Vitaris himself. So much.
Oh my goodness. So much. I am very excited to talk about this today.
I am too.
All right. So Vale and Lilith have officially become the cutest Romantasy pen pals.
I love it. And yes.
He sends her like all his little research tips and any information from his Obitrean books. And that's very on brand for them to find romance in science. I do love, there's this little note he leaves her at the corner of one of the pages where it says, sweet with a bitter bite. And I love that little detail. It's very cute. And as this is happening, as she's getting these cute letters from Vale, Mina is inviting Tomasin into their house, I guess,
Right.
to like make peace with her impending death.
I guess that's what they do as acolytes. Like, I feel like it was just
I don't know.
don't make sense to me, but okay.
I didn't get good vibes from Tomasin like ever, so right now included. And Mina, you know, she kind of invites Lilith to sit with them at the table.
Right.
And of course, Lilith does not. And she just keeps working nonstop.
Right.
So I guess I'm guessing this hurt Mina's feelings, but I don't know. I'm kind of with Lilith here. I don't want to sit and chat with Tomasin about how my sister's going to die. I'd rather go
No.
work on a
Especially
cure
when
to
that
save her
just-
life.
So not Lilith's like style either.
Mm-mm.
Like, I feel like she does not buy into the gods and the acolyte thing. So
Yeah, no, she's definitely made some comments to suggest otherwise. So I agree. And she just keeps working nonstop because that's what she knows. She knows science and she's, you know, determined to find a cure. So she I think she made mention that she didn't even stop to change her clothes. Like she's just been like working
Right.
day and night. So this is very similar to like the beginning of the book when she's first leaving to go see Vale. And Mina is saying goodbye to her. And Lilith thinks maybe I should say I love you, but she doesn't. She just leaves. So she's just kind of continuing that trend of I'm going to show my love by doing the science and not by doing what you want me to do. So
yeah.
make of that what you will. But
Right.
that's kind of what we know Lilith to be at this point.
Yes.
And do you feel like that this has a real life application? Like, do we see this happening in our own relationships or in situations
sure.
in real life?
To a certain extent, right? Like, I think sometimes, like Lilith here, like she's not reacting the way that people socially would expect someone to react, but that doesn't mean that she's unfeeling, right?
Mm.
And I think we run into people like that in our daily lives. I do with my husband every day, where I think he's totally not hearing or seeing or whatever, but really he is. I think it's like the love language barrier that they're seeing.
Yeah.
I think we all see that, right?
I was thinking of the love languages too. It seems like Mina and Lilith have totally different love languages here.
For sure.
So I do think there's some value to, you know, if you know someone's love language is to sit and spend quality time, maybe doing
Right.
that once in a while. At the same time, I think Lilith is so aware of the time crunch on this situation
Yes.
that
Yes.
it just is her determination to make this happen is
right.
helping her make this choice.
Well, she's like hyper fixated on it because she's been seeing her sister sloth away. I don't know what other word to use for
Sloth away.
Sloth away. So yeah,
Sloth
she's
is
like,
a verb now. I like it. Next time my kids are like moving very slowly when I need them to move quickly, I'm like, why are you guys slothing away?
right.
No more slothing.
So I see both sides, but I'm going to side
Yeah.
with Lilith on this one.
I'm
And
with you.
luckily, because she's still been working, Lilith actually gets that very important letter from Vale, 4 letters actually, and Vale has discovered an ancient experiment in one of his Obitrean books about distilling vampire blood, and it is exactly what Lilith needed to perfect her cure for the plague. And so she, has all her test rats, she runs it on them, and they completely recover. So yay, Vale and Lilith and science. Woo woo! So Lilith doesn't have much time to enjoy this victory because Farrow shows up at her door with bad news. And Thomasin was in the city recruiting men to help him attack Vale and Lilith because he's decided that Vale is the reason for this plague on Adkova. And so Farrow asks Lilith to come hide at his place, keep her safe in the city. But of course, Lilith isn't going to do that.
Nope, not a chance. No way, Jose.
Right.
I mean, I know we're going to talk about this a lot today just because I know how we both feel about Farrow. Of course, he shows up to tell her,
Yes.
hey, like, this dangerous thing is happening. Like, come hide. Like, let me hide you and Mina. Farrow. I have a crush on Farrow today. I don't know. But yes, very on brand for Lilith to say, no, I'm not doing that. And when she tells Farrow as much, Mina kind of pipes up in the background in her like half dead, slothed away voice. What do you mean, no? And I'm guessing that kind of what we were just saying, she's interpreting all of this to mean that Lilith cares more about Vale than she does about Mina.
Right.
And to be fair, I can see how it looks that way from Mina's perspective. I appreciate, though, that Lilith stands her ground and she kind of just says, I refuse to let you die. And she takes her arm and injects her arm with the new cure that she just perfected. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go to Vale's house now. And Farrow's like, I am coming with you because he's the best.
Because he really is, though.
I mean, he comes to warn his ex-girlfriend about this dangerous situation, and then he accompanies her to her current vampire boyfriend's house to make sure that she's safe. So
when there's a little murderous mob after that.
Yes. I just feel like Farrow deserves love. He's clearly not going to get it from Lilith, and that's fine. I love Lilith and Vale together. But Farrow deserves love. So, Carissa Broadbent, can we make this happen? I feel like he deserves this. I think Septimus has a sister. So maybe we can make
Farrow.
Can we set up Farrow and Septimus's sister?
Right.
I don't know.
feel like he could have his own novella.
That would be great. I would even settle for like a bonus chapter. Just
something
to know that Farrow did not die lonely. Like, I just think he deserves true love.
No, if we really break it down, Farrow is kind of a hero in this whole story. So, agreed.
If it
Let's find someone for him.
They would not, well, I don't want to like spoil what we're about to talk about, but if it weren't for Farrow, things could have gone very differently in this book.
Yes. Yeah, for sure they could. So, let's find someone for Farrow.
My official petition to find Farrow his true love.
Right. I agree. So, Hero Farrow, they travel to Vale's house, and Lilith is grappling with how blind hatred has made Thomasin and the others. There's no reason, just hatred, right? And because the timing doesn't line up, it is just hate. He wasn't there when the plague started, but they're just so desperate to blame someone. And so I actually can't say it better than Lilith. She says, logic doesn't matter in the face of fear and emotion. Logic falls to its knees before hatred, and hatred flourishes in fear. And my people were terrified. That is beautifully written. Is it true? Have you seen this happen? I feel like that quote is just so applicable to life in general.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely think we can see this happen on, a not so serious scale when we are scared. We kind of talked about this when we did The Serpent and the Wings of Night. When we are really afraid, we don't make great decisions, right?
Right.
And then on kind of a larger scale, as in like our interactions as humans across the globe, there have been heavy things happening in the world lately. And without going into that, I think we are seeing this happen often when people are really afraid. They do not make logical choices, and hatred flourishes, just like Carissa wrote here. So I'm stumbling over my words because these words are perfect. Logic doesn't matter in the face of fear and emotion. Logic falls to its knees. Like, that is the best way to say that fear makes us all crazy and do terrible things. So I definitely think we see this happening in the world. I wish we didn't. But we absolutely do. Yeah.
I think that's the reason we love these Romantasy books so much too, right? Because they are so applicable. We love the stories. We love the romance. But it's little nuggets of wisdom like these that we get to take away, right?
Yeah. And I think that's one reason we wanted to start this podcast is because we have felt that as we've read them. We've seen lines like this that are so meaningful and so impactful that while the romance is fun and the book boyfriends are fun, they're things that are really important here and really applicable to our lives.
Agreed.
This is a great line that I feel like is like speaking to the pillar of Romantasy remedy of why we're here talking tonight. So
That's
beautifully
right.
written, Carissa. Thank you. But speaking of fear, Lilith is terrified for Vale.
Right.
And I think if I remember right, the whole way over, she's kind of like brooding in her mind of, oh, like what happens to him if he's out in the sun? And like she's just
Right.
getting increasingly more worried about him. When they arrive at the house, she notices that there's both human and vampire blood on the steps and throughout the house. So she's like bolting through the house. I can only imagine what Farrow is thinking because I doubt he's ever been here. So he's probably like,
Right.
what in the world?
And
But
it's a
Lilith
bloody
bolts.
scene.
Yeah. Yeah. She bolts through the house and finds Vale in, I guess, what you call the backyard. Oh, the garden. Sorry, the garden, backyard, whatever. He's injured. He's out in the sun, and he is surrounded by all these men who look like they're ready to kill him. She intervenes, like reminds me of that scene in Pocahontas where like she runs in and drapes over John Smith.
Know exactly what you're talking about. I can see it up here. I like that one.
What I picture happening here with Lilith and Vale.
Next time I watch that with my kids, I'm going to be like, their real names are Lilith and Vale.
Totally. Yes. And she kind of intervenes and tries to reason with Tomasin without success because, as we said, logic is not present in this situation. No. And so he lifts his sword to strike Vale, and Lilith just slices him with her little hatchet axe thing.
Good for her.
And she like admits in her mind that she has no experience like killing people or but she just with her instincts just goes for it. And meanwhile, Farrow is in the background killing everybody else. So apparently this man is not only extremely intelligent and caring, but strong enough to kill people with a sword or whatever weapon he's using. I'm just like, he is like the most eligible bachelor of this series. I'm just saying.
In Adkova, you should have the bachelor of Adkova.
Absolutely. Sign us up. The battle culminates in Vale ripping out Tomasin's heart, which is very graphic and very vampire-like of him. So yikes. But that is the end of Tomasin.
Yikes, indeed. And Vale then, collapses. And Farrow and Lilith manage to get him inside. I think sometimes I have to remember when I'm reading The Crowns of Nyaxia because they're vampires in my head. You kind of make a reel in your head as you're reading that it's always dark out. So it was like it's a daytime murder. I don't know. So to remember so they have to get him inside. And Lilith gives Farrow her medicine and actually tells him to go. And then Vale tells Lilith to go. And of course, we're going to say no. This is her episode of just no. Like telling everyone no.
No for you, no for you, no for you.
Exactly.
No.
Right. And she thanks Farrow as she should because she would not know and Vale would not be alive without Farrow and says goodbye. Lilith then plays cleanup. And she burns all the bodies. And if I remember correctly, she burns and tries to get rid of the bodies because Tomasin is an acolyte, right? And so she's trying to hide that evidence because the last thing we need is a white pantheon god to show up. But so she burns the bodies, helps Vale's upstairs to his bedroom, and helps treat his wounds. Fun little details to note here. Lilith mentions that Vale lights the candles in his room by just waving his hand. And she says the flame is strange and white and it moves a little different than fire. So is this night fire? Like Araya's night fire in Serpent, I wonder?
I think so, because that's magic from the House of Night. And that's similar to how it's described in The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So I haven't confirmed it. Maybe I will. I'll just pop into like Carissa's Discord or Facebook group and
let me know.
And see if we can confirm that. But that's how I thought of it. I thought it was probably Nightfire.
I've enjoyed throughout this series how she puts little nods and nuggets referring to other books and characters or characteristics throughout to tie together. I've enjoyed that.
Yes, it's very cool. She's a very talented writer. And speaking of Araya, Lilith says something here that reminded me so much. of Araya. Lilith is thinking about how all of this is her fault, that her enthusiasm for her work and for Vale made her careless about leaving evidence of vampire magic just like out in the open in her home when Tomasin was coming over. And then she says, I forgot to be afraid. And that took me like right back to Alana and Araya and all the themes about fear that we discussed in that book. So
Yes.
it just reminded me, especially after Alana died and Araya kept saying like she should have been more afraid. When
Right.
Lilith said, I forgot to be afraid, it took me back to that moment. So just interesting
I'm
tie-in
glad
all
you
over the
pointed
place.
that out. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. Vale, of course, assures Lilith that it isn't her fault because humans are always making him the scapegoat for whatever problem they have, which makes me so sad.
Not a
Poor
big deal.
Vale. Then Vale shares with Lilith that he plans to return to the House of Night. And so if we remember, he had told her a few chapters ago that they kept trying to get him come back and he didn't want to because he didn't want to work for whatever nobody they were putting on the throne. Lilith, gave him her little spiel about
Yes.
that. And I guess he took it to heart because now he's going to go back. And he also says that the House of Night used to be his only love.
Right.
And now his heart belongs to someone else. I wonder who that could be.
Peter Patter. I wonder. Of course, Lilith is pained at the idea of Vale leaving, right? But she's equally as pained by the idea that he loves her because she feels like she can't give him what she wants, which is so sad, but it's something I think we've seen Lilith kind of portray a lot throughout this book, right? When she voices this to Vale, he has a swoon-worthy reply. Maybe start tallying his swoon points now.
All right, I'm ready. Let's start tallying.
Let's go. Vale says, because I want only you, Lilith. Whatever of you I can have, I'll take 1 night, 1 hour, 1 minute. Whatever you want to give me, I'll have it. Swoon.
Swoon.
And when Lilith is like, I'm dying, Vale responds, whatever you wish to give me, he repeated slowly, like he wanted to make sure I understood. I'll have it. I don't know that I have been waiting my entire life to hear those words until now.
2 swoon points for Vale. Well done, Vale. And the swoon points are going to keep coming because after he says that, Lilith kisses him. You go, girl. And of course, that kiss leads to more.
Yay.
So there's so much to love about this spicy scene, and I want to talk about it. First, Vale prioritizes Lilith.
Yes.
She talks about how he uses those scientific skills of his to study what she likes most. And I love that. So another swoon point for you, Vale. Secondly, Lilith also comments that in the past, she has felt uncomfortable with eye contact and physical touch. But in this moment with Vale, she finds that not only she feels comfortable, but also pleasured. I see this as kind of a nod to the difference that having the right person at the right time can make.
Yes.
Another swoon point for Vale. I think we're up to like 5. Lilith admits that seeing Vale this way is beautiful and more beautiful even than his blood, which is a big deal because we all know how very obsessed with Vale's blood our girl Lilith is. And this just shows like how much her feelings for him have evolved and grown during this story. So that's
for sure.
Those are some things that stood out to me in their spicy scene. Is there anything that you want to add about that chapter, Ken?
I think I'm just going to reiterate some of the comments you made and what she said, where she said she didn't know she'd been waiting her entire life to hear those words until now. I think she's tried so hard through all of her research just to be seen and see like that she's working for someone. So to actually be seen, not just, what am I trying to say? I think she finally felt understood in every single way in that moment. And I love that she made the first move. Like, you go, girl. Like, good for you.
Of course she did. Of course she did.
Good for you. Like, I love it. And actually, it kind of reminded me a little ACOTAR It reminded me,
Yes.
is it in Akamath? Nope, Akawar, where Cassian says this something fairly similar to Nesta, right? That he just wished he had more time.
Yes.
It kind of
It's
reminded me
definitely
of that.
definitely an Aqualor. It's when, they think they're about to die. So
Yes, yes,
and he does have that really beautiful line where he says something along the lines of he doesn't have any regrets in life
regrets.
except that he wishes he had more time with Nesta
Right.
and that he will find her in the next life.
Yes.
So,
And so I don't know why it made me kind of think of, I do know why. It just made me like, that's what I thought
just,
of.
well, there is something very romantic about that notion of you don't have much time and
Right.
I guess seizing the moment and making the most of the time you do have.
Yeah,
I think that that is a very romantic idea.
for
So,
sure. I'll say one more thing and then I'll move on. I love how selfless Vale is here because he's not asking more from her. He knows what she's capable of giving and what she's willing to give, and he's not asking any more than that. Knowing that she's been working so hard on this cure and that she, like Mina and stuff, he's not asking or begging her to give more than what she can. And I appreciate
yes.
that from her,
Yes.
from him,
Yeah.
excuse me.
I think
But
his line is really meaningful when he says, whatever you're willing to give me.
yes,
So I think if that had been, we're just going to sit here and hold hands and read a book, he would have been cool with
right.
that.
Yeah,
And it's beautiful that he understands her so well and so deeply that he knew
yes.
what to say. He knew what she needed to hear. And I love that for them. I love
Me
that
too.
she finally feels understood. And I love that Vale has met someone that he can love because apparently he only loved the House of Night before that. So
Right,
this is a big moment for him too to
right,
love someone else.
right.
Just beautiful all around.
Yep,
Love it.
loved it. Good spicy scene. So,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, though, those fuzzy feelings end the next morning when they wake up and realize that Vitaris definitely noticed that they killed his acolyte. The clouds and sunlight are doing some crazy things over Adkova as they would do if a god was mad. Lilith saw it the same way many years ago, of course, on the day her father cursed Vitaris. And Vel suggests that Lilith comes with him to Obertraze and draw Vitaris away from Adkova. And she, of course, another no, is not going to abandon her sister
The
or her
official
town.
signal for no.
No, oh my gosh. But she also, she's like, no, I'm not going to abandon my sister. I'm not going to abandon my town, but also won't let Vale stay because the gods of the White Pantheon hate Nyaxia and therefore hate vampires, as her quote unquote children, right? During this conversation, Vale assures Lilith, you do not have to do any of this alone, which is the inspiration for today's affirmation.
Yay!
Sometimes we just need to know that we aren't facing difficulties alone. Sometimes we just need someone to say, I've got you. And it's so easy to forget this when problems are weighing us down. But remember, loved ones can't help if they don't know. So reach out when things are tough. Let the people on your team support you. And I think also with that, be there when people need your support too, right? Anything you want to add to that?
I love that. I love everything you said. I definitely need to remember both of those things.
Yeah.
And especially the part about reaching out. My tendency is to withdraw when I'm having a hard time. I struggle with reaching out and being vulnerable when I'm having a hard time.
Right.
And some people might say I'm like allergic to sharing my feelings. I don't know. Honestly, I always feel better when I do confide in someone I trust. Sometimes that's family, sometimes that's friends. Also, mental health professionals can be that
Absolutely.
person you trust. So I love
Yes.
this affirmation. It's just a great reminder that we really don't have to face anything alone. There is always someone that we can look to or reach out to, so we're not shouldering it all by ourselves.
For
So
sure.
love that affirmation.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Another thing that Vale says that makes Lilith swoon/cry, he says this. It must be hard, he murmured, to bear the weight of so much affection in a life so short. And then Lilith goes on to describe her reaction. She says, my eyes burned ferociously. I had to squeeze them shut, had to clamp down on my sudden, shuddering inhale. No one had ever seen that before. The love in my cold absence. And it was always so easy to just let them believe I didn't feel it. All this time, I thought I had been studying Vale, but he had been studying me. And so I feel like this explains kind of that tension with her and Mina that we've been talking about since the beginning of the book, how Mina wants her to sit down, wants her to say I love you. And Lilith comes off as cold because she doesn't do those things. But Vale never saw it that way. He saw it for what it was from the beginning, it seems.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that he just really sees her for who she is. And I think acknowledging that meant everything to Lilith, but also made it really hard for her to make this decision to leave him and go back to Adkova.
It's like she finally found her person. And I'll never see you again.
Freaking Vitaris has to ruin everything.
Right. I love, though, how Vale doesn't try to change her mind. Again, back to him just being totally selfless in this situation, and he's totally just supporting her. That's it. He's just supporting her. But Lilith does end up leaving without Vale. Sad day. Sad day. She finally finds her person. And then when she gets back to her house, though, she couldn't find Mina right away. Mina is not where she's normally been, and then she goes out the back door and sees her standing outside, the same place her father was all those years ago, and in the clouds above Mina, she sees Vitaris.
Dun, dun, dun. It's a very,
real,
very full circle moment, She's
in
the same spot her father was. There's Vitaris, so can only imagine what's coming.
She has such high highs in this episode where she figures the cure out, gives it to Mina. Vale's attacked, gets him better. Now he's leaving. Vitaris, it's just woo,
I know.
Wild
I'm
ride.
telling you, so much is crammed into this petite little book.
Right.
I love it, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's where we're going to end our exploration of Six Scorched Roses for today. And next episode will be the last one for this book. So
that was quick.
I can't believe it. It was.
Quick.
We knew it would be. But anyway, one of the best parts of reading is learning things that help us with this messy adventure we call life. We spoke to this earlier in the episode. Each episode, our goal has been to share a true story that connects to lessons we learned in the chapters we read. And Kenzie and I have shared a handful of stories from our lives. To be totally honest, we were having a hard time thinking of one for this episode. And we thought, you know what would be great is if someone else who has read this book could lend us one of their stories. So we are making a formal request to other readers of Six Scorched Roses. If you have a true story that connects with this part of the book, maybe you have a person in your life like Farrow who has shown up and been there regardless of whether they have a personal stake in the game and they're really dependable and wonderful. Maybe you have someone that is like Vale and understands you at a soul deep level. Maybe you are someone like Lilith who is brave no matter how dangerous the situation. You see what I'm getting at, right?
Yes.
We just want to hear your stories and how they connect to Six Scorched Roses. So if you've got one and you would not mind us sharing it on the next episode, perhaps, email us at romantasyremedy@gmail.com and let us know. We don't have to share your name. We can use fake names, whatever's cool with you.
Heck yeah.
But we would love, love, love to get stories from other readers of Six Scorched Roses. So shoot us an email, romantasyremedy@gmail.com.
That's right. I would love to have some of those connections with other people. That would be great.
So fun.
Before we go, let's take a moment to express our gratitude to a character who we admire from this stretch of chapters. And today's note, I don't think it's any surprise, is going to go to Farrow. So here it goes. Dear Farrow, Thank you for reminding us that true friendship doesn't fade, even when romance isn't in the cards. You showed up for Lilith when it mattered most, traveling to warn her of danger, standing by her side when she went to Vale, and even putting yourself on the line to protect a vampire you had every reason to mistrust. That's loyalty, that's courage, and that's the kind of heart we can't help but admire. You gave Lilith space to make her own choices, even when they hurt. You put her happiness above your own, and that's no small thing. Not many could do what you did, so thank you, Farrow, for being steady, selfless, and strong. We'll keep holding out hope that Carissa gifts us a bonus chapter where you find the love you so clearly deserve. So, from your friends at Romantasy Remedy, Farrow, thank you.
Thank you, Farrow, the most eligible bachelor of the Crown of Nyaxia series.
I love Farrow. Who's Mina's love interest? Let's find out.
That's a great question. Maybe we have that kind of like Little Women situation where we just pop down to the baby sister. I don't know. That'd work. Okay.
Hey,
or Septimus's sister. I don't know why I'm on a kick with that today.
I think you're ready for the Septimus book, so you're stuck.
I can't tell you how ready I am for that book. Like, if you had told me when I first read Serpent in the Wings of Night that I was going to kind of be a Septimus girl, I would have told you were crazy because Reign Forever and Septimus was not great in that duology. But after reading Fallen, I am here for it. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm excited to get there so I can get on the same page.
Well,
last time
since you just finished reading Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, though, are you feeling more sympathetic towards the Bloodborne vampires now?
100%. And I am obsessed with Atreus. Obsessed.
Yes. Who was besties with Septimus's older brother, so...
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Don't forget to read the bonus chapter where Septimus goes to visit Atreus and Selena.
Okay. I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Real good. Real good. I mean, real good in the sense that you're not going to know anything else and you'll just want to read the book even more. That's not coming out until August of 2026. So
we got a little ways to go.
Yay for us. It's okay, Carissa. We know that you have a personal life and you crank out books a lot faster than other authors do. So I am not complaining.
No, I'm not going to complain at all. She's pretty on top of it. So
not complaining, Carissa. Thank you.
This is not a complaint. This is a praise.
Just a formal request for a bonus chapter for Farrow and an expression of excitement over Septimus's book. That is all it is. But if you've been listening to us yap about all this stuff, thank you. Thank you, Kenzie, for having this book chat with me.
Always.
And thank you to everybody who listened. Leave us your comments and send an email if you have a true story for us. Please.
Yes. Thank you.
We have reached the end of the main portion of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Look for Romantasy Remedy on Instagram and TikTok. Check the show notes for those links, as well as links to the printable affirmation and soundtrack playlist on Spotify.
We're really looking forward to connecting with you and nerding out over all the best romantasy. After this, we'll begin the spoiler central segment of the episode, which you shouldn't listen to if you haven't finished the entire series, including the rest of this book. We're totally those book besties where one of us reads at a normal speed and one of us reads faster than you can winnow from here to Valaris. Since Whitney is a speed reader, I'm going to duck out while she does spoiler central.
All right, you've been warned. Here come the spoilers. So in Six Scorched Roses, Lilith shows she isn't afraid to stand up to Tomasin and the angry mob at Vale's home. She continues showing this kind of courage when Vale takes her to Obitrace in Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. At one point, Reign is trying to convince Vale to go along with the plan to throw a ball in honor of Vale and Lilith's marriage. After arguing for several minutes, Lilith, who can barely speak Obitrain at this point, interrupts and tells them it's a stupid fight. She then declares that if this is what the House of Night needs, then they'll do it. The chapter right after that, Reign says this about Lilith. I liked Lilith. At least she had balls. It took them to stand up and yell at a bunch of vampires speaking a language you barely even knew. Well said, Reign. Well said. I couldn't agree more. All right, we also talked a lot in this episode about how Vale and Lilith really understand each other, really see each other for who they truly are. This remains true in The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. In Fallen, Asar's former instructor slash abuser, Gideon, impersonates Vale and uses his Shadowborn mind magic to convince all the Nightborn of his performance. Yet Asar says this about Lilith. Lilith paused at the door, brow furrowed, as if she just misplaced something, but wasn't sure what. Lilith immediately sensed that something was off, that it wasn't her veil, the veil that she knew. Then, when Gideon starts using mind magic, Asar says that everyone was affected by it, but he says that, quote, only Lilith shook her head slightly. She's so smart, and she knows Vale so intimately that not even the Shadowborn mind magic could convince her. That's all I have for Spoiler Central today. Thank you so much for listening to Romantasy Remedy, and please come back next week for our final episode covering Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. Thanks, bye!